What's in a name? Well, I'll tell you what, if you're setting up an LLC, that's probably crossed your mind. What should you name your limited liability company? Well, in this video, I'm going to be breaking that down for you and talking about some of the things that we look at here at Anderson and helping clients determine what is the best name for their LLC. All right, let's get started. Okay, so when it comes to naming a limited liability company, one of the things that I tell people all the time is do not use your own name unless the LLC is going to be about you. I can't tell you how many times I've run up or met someone whose ego is their amigo and they want to put their name out there and they think, oh, this is going to be so great, my name's out there. Yeah, just remember, how big of a target do you want to be? All right. And if your business is not about you, then why are you putting your name on that company? Because one of the things that we talk about, or I talk about a lot on this channel, is building an anonymity structure. And you're just going to blow it by setting up a company that says Clint Coons, limited liability company. Not to mention, there's also that risk that when somebody is transacting business with you, they say, oh, I thought I was dealing with Clint. I didn't realize I was dealing with the LLC. So who am I going to sue? I'm suing Clint, right? And then you get drug into potential lawsuits that you didn't need to be in because your name was on your LLC. So unless it's a marketing thing that you think is really important, choosing an LLC name should be more about the business and less about the individual. So what does that mean in the context of coming up with a name for the LLC? Well, let's just talk about rental real estate and what are some of the things that I look at when I'm looking to form an LLC and what type of name I'm going to choose. Well, it used to be this, that when I was forming LLCs, I would look at the property address. Okay, so let's say this property is located here at 1465 Plum Drive. Okay, so what I might do in setting up my LLC is I would create 1465 Plum Drive LLC. So this would be the 1465 Plum Drive LLC. And then I would deed the property, okay, let's say from my name into this limited liability company. And the reason I did that is I looked at that LLC and I said, great, I know which property is located in that limited liability company based upon the name of the LLC. And you know what? That works, okay? It's really simple. For those of you that need that type of connection because you can't look it up on a spreadsheet, which property's in which LLC if the address isn't on there, I understand the draw to using this. Like I said, I would do this as well. But the problem that I ran into when I started looking at it in more depth is that who does this? Who typically names an LLC after the property address? A lot of times it's the property owner that's setting up the limited liability company. So I started looking into it and started saying, all right, let me see if I can do some looking at title and doing some different ways of searching title to see whether or not this bore any resemblance to my initial assumption, because I was doing it. Sure enough, it does. A lot of investors will do this. And so if you're building out a structure where you've set up this entity here, let's say we set up this limited liability company in Illinois, and then I have this Wyoming LLC down here that offers anonymity. And if you look at this company, it points to this company. So 1465 Plum Drive doesn't have my name on it, of course. It has my Wyoming LLC. So I'm down here and I think, wow, I have this great anonymity structure. No one knows that it's me owning that Plum Drive LLC. Well, I can tell you that if I was looking at this structure, and this is you over here as the investor, I would probably assume that looking through the chain of title, before 1465 Plum Drive owned the LLC, it was held by Shelley. I would assume Shelley is the owner, okay, of that structure. And so if I assume she was the owner, then I assume she owns this one as well. Now I know I'm making an assumption, but it's a very reasonable assumption based upon the way the LLC was set up. So that is an issue for me, and I no longer do this with my own planning. I don't advise my clients to do it either. I would tell you, hey, come up with a different name for this company. Now, if you need something to tie it back there, maybe it's 14PD LLC. All right, so there it's not so obvious. It's part of the address, P for plum, D for drive. That could be your indicator that this is the company you have, 14PD LLC. And it's a shorter name. Keep the name shorter rather than longer is another thing that I look at in creating limited liability company names, because you have to write them out. And the shorter they are, the simpler it is in filling out account opening, or when you're opening up a energy or power for your LLC, setting that up. So keep it short. Now, another issue that comes up. I just ran into this the other day. So an individual has a company that is, let's call it Real Time LLC is the company, his original company that he formed. Now we're talking about forming other companies as well around this. So he wants to set up Real Time Profits, Real Time Investing, Real Time Properties, okay? Real time, you get what I'm saying? Real time, real time, real time, real time. So he did some of this outside of working here with us here in Anderson. And I'm having this email correspondence back and forth about his structuring and what he wants to do going forwards. He's saying, I'm running into some problems with your staff on getting my new LLC set up. And I see in the correspondence exactly why that is. Because everyone was getting confused. Because sometimes he would write an email, hey, I want Real Time to be the member of this new LLC. Well, you have 4 Real Times there. I don't know which one you're referring to. So which one is it? Well, it should be obvious. It's not obvious to me which one it is, because you know what each company is. And so what happens is that you get confused. Or later on in this correspondence, he used the wrong Real Time. He said, hey, I want Real Time Investing. And then he wrote back, oh no, that was so wrong. We needed Real Time Properties. You see, you even confused yourself. I've been down that road. I've done that, right? When I started setting up LLCs, when I was investing in Las Vegas, I started using the same name like this: Real Time 1, Real Time 2, Real Time 3. And I thought, well, this is unique. I'll just keep that same name going throughout. But then I got confused as to which property was held in Real Time 1 versus 2 and what they were doing. And so I went away from that. So keep your names unique as well. Do not pick one theme and run with it when it comes to your investing properties. So this is how I'd approach it from a real estate investor standpoint. Now, if you're actively involved in your flipping property, so now you're going to have a flipping business and you think you want to market your investments. One of the things you can do with the name for this company, hey, don't worry about the name. You can come up with any name you want. I could call this Blue Frog, okay? If I wanted to. Now, I know Blue Frog doesn't seem like a name of a flipping company. That's why you have what are referred to as DBAs, doing business as. So Blue Frog could be operating under Prestige Properties. Okay, and that's how I market all my investments. I market them as Prestige Properties. Prestige Properties is just another name for Blue Frog. So ultimately, the name of your flipping or your active business company doesn't have to be the name that you're marketing under, that you hold yourself out to other people as. So I could have Prestige Properties. I could have Gold Coast Homes. Okay, I have many different DBAs as I want under Blue Frog LLC. Ultimately, it's all Blue Frog, but people don't see that because I filed what is called doing business as. Now, the thing about this is that's really important is that if you're going to actively market and you want to build a presence, okay, around this. Now, I said use Blue Frog, it doesn't matter. There is one exception to this rule for these active businesses, is that where you're trying to build a brand, all right? In that case, if you're trying to build a brand, then the name of your company does in fact matter. And what you're going to want to do here, depending on how many states you want to operate in, you may want to run a trademark search to begin with, okay? Because ultimately you may want to trademark your brand. But that would be number one. Number two, when you're doing this, look up to determine whether or not the website domain name is available. Okay, so rather than just go out and file the name, I've made this mistake before on certain other businesses. If you know anything about what we do here at Anderson, the principals, myself and Toby and Michael Bowman, is that we've created other businesses. We've created real estate, our brokerage business before. I've got my flipping business that I've talked about, and insurance businesses and things like that. Well, when I started setting up these businesses, first couple times I did it, this is how I screwed up. I filed the name. I started moving forward with the name, and I thought, oh yeah, I got to get a domain name. And I went to check to see if the domain name's available. It was already in use. So that can be a problem. Now, yes, you can use a DBA, come up with another domain name and tie it back, but it's not clean. So you're better off first checking to see, is that domain name available? If so, then check to see if the name's available with the Secretary of State or vice versa. But once you know you've locked it in both, I would secure the domain name first, and then I would file it with the state. That way, whatever company you're trying to build name recognition under, you have it under both sides. So you get a website that corresponds back to that, because that's just going to help your business, right? As far as someone looking at it, adds legitimacy to what it is that you're doing. Guys, I hope this video helped you out, because I know choosing names can sometimes be really complicated for people. But the last thing I want to tell you is this: never let a name stop you from getting your business entity formed. I have talked with a few clients over the years who told me that they lost their assets, did not get them protected, because they could not decide on a name for their companies. And they kept holding the assets in their own name when tragedy struck. Don't let that be you. Get your company set up. The name's not all that important. What is important is that you have the structure protecting your assets. Hey, if you're not yet a subscriber to the channel, take advantage right now. Subscribe to the channel. You'll get updated every time I release new content on protecting your assets and reducing your taxes as a real estate investor. Take care.